In this video for Positive Maths, we're going to work on calculating the gross income. So let's look at our first question. A man pays €3,750 income tax for the year. He has a tax credit of €1,375. If he pays tax at a standard rate of 20% on all of his income, calculate his gross income for the year. So really we're working kind of backwards for this question. Okay, so we need to calculate his gross income. We are told really that he has to pay €3,750 in income tax. So that is his net tax. So that's 3,750. He has a tax credit of €1,375. So as you can see, the first step really is to just identify the information that we're given. He pays tax at a standard rate of 20%. We need to calculate his gross income. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate the total amount of tax. So we're going to calculate the gross tax. So we must remember that the gross tax is equal to the net tax plus the tax credit. So we'll remember that usually when we're calculating net income, we subtract the tax credit from the gross tax to find the net tax. So this is the other way around. So the net tax is 3,750. Tax credit 1,375. So the gross tax is €5,125. So the gross tax we know is 20%. So 5,125, that's equal to 20% of the gross income. Okay, so we want to find 100% of the gross income. So therefore, if we multiply 5,125 by 5, we will find 100%. So we will find that this man's gross income is going to be equal to 25,625. So just to recap, we're given our income tax and we're given our tax credit and our standard rate. So this is the information we're given. In order to find the gross income, we must first find the gross tax. So we add together our income tax and our tax credit and we find our gross tax is 5,125. So this gross tax is 20% of the gross income. So in order to find the total amount, we're going to multiply 5,125 by 5. So the reason why we did this is that 20% is equal to 1/5. So therefore, 20% multiplied by 5 is going to give us 100%, or 5/5. So we need to be really comfortable with dealing with percentages for these questions. So the next problem. We're told that Mary paid €6,600 in income tax for the year. She had a tax credit of €4,600 and her standard cut-off point was 28,000. The standard rate of income was 20% and the higher rate was 40%. So we need to calculate Mary's gross income for the year. Okay, so again, let's just identify what we're given. Okay, so similar to the other question, the first thing we need to do is we need to calculate the gross tax. So this is equal to the income tax, or the net tax, plus the tax credit. So in this case, that's going to be equal to 6,600 plus 4,600. So the gross tax before the tax credit was taken away would be €11,200. Let's remember what this gross tax is. This is made up of money from the 20% rate and money from the 41% rate. Okay? And together they make up the 11,200. In order to find the next step, which is the amount over the cutoff, we need to calculate 20% of 28,000 and subtract it from our 11,200. So we'll just put down our gross tax down here is equal to 11200. We are calculating the gross income. We know that this is basically the cutoff, the amount of the cutoff plus extra. Okay? We know that the cutoff is 28,000. So we need to calculate this extra amount. And to do that, we're going to use the gross tax and the tax rates. We know that this gross tax is made up from 20% of 28,000 plus 40% of a certain amount of money that we don't know yet. Okay, so we're going to keep this in mind. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is find 20% of 28,000. So that's €5,600. This gross tax is made up of €5,600 plus 40% of X. Okay, so therefore our 11,200 minus our 5,600 is going to give us 40% of X. So this will be equal to, will also be equal to 5,600. So now that we know that 40% of X is equal to 5,600, we can calculate 100% of X. %40 is 5,600. So let's find 10% first. We can find 10% by dividing 5,600 by 4. So 10% is 1,400. So then 100% is going to be equal to €14,000. So that is X. X is equal to 14,000. So therefore, our gross income is going to be 28,000 plus 14,000, which is going to be €42,000. So there is a lot in that question. So let's go back and go through the steps that we used to solve it. Okay, the first thing that we did was we added our net tax plus our tax credit to find our gross tax. The next thing that we did was we found 20% of the cutoff. Step number 3 was to subtract what we found in 2, 20%, from the gross tax. and this was to find 41% of x. Okay, we're going to note here that x is equal to the amount above the cutoff. So our last step was to find 100% of x and to add this onto the cutoff. So this would equal gross income. I recommend that you pause the video, write down the question, practice it all the way through by yourself, and then go back and check if your solution is the same. It will help you to pinpoint where you're going wrong and what steps you need to work on. For more information, visit www.PositiveMaths.ie, email us at info@PositiveMaths.ie, and find us on Facebook and Twitter.